Okay, we'll take roll call tonight. So members present, we have Mrs. Hugo, Mr. Andre, Mrs. Coulter, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Joyner, Mr. Hoffman, Mr. Bush, myself. We have our planner, Mr. Jeremy Smith, and our planning consultant, Andy Amott. Members absent are Mr. Gellings, our chairman, which is why I'm here this evening, and Alexandria Nassar. So our first item on the agenda is public comment. If you'd like to address the commission on anything other than what's on the agenda, and I think we have one person, Ashley
I left it at home.
Margarski. It's close. So if you'd like to step to the podium and address the planning commission.
I do have these. I don't know if you want me to pass them out to you. That makes it easier.
I can take them all in. Yep, perfect.
Okay, thanks.
And I just learned about the 3-minute rule, so I'm going to try really hard here.
Ooh, that went further than I thought. Sorry about that.
There you go.
Bless you.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh, whenever you're ready.
Well, then I'm ready. Hello, everybody. I am Ashley Rogalski. Thank you for inviting me to speak. I'll just start. My husband and I chose Grand Blanc to raise our children. I've been here for about 2.5 years, and I am confident that this is where we like to be. Okay, so we believe in the future of this township and want to contribute to its growth in a thoughtful, sustainable way. That's why I'm here today to respectfully ask you to reconsider the ordinance that currently prohibits backyard chickens. The ordinance has not been updated since 1987, and so much has changed since then. In 2025, families care deeply about sustainability, clean living, and knowing where their food comes from. For many of us, raising a few hens is a small but meaningful step in the right direction. I am simply asking for the ability to keep 3 hens, no roosters, in a clean, enclosed coop on my private property. An average hen weighs 4 to 6 pounds, meaning I am asking to care for a total of 18 pounds of quiet, well-maintained animals, far less than what is allowed with large dogs or cats. To give you a clear picture, I'd like to speak to one of the most common concerns: noise. In my neighborhood, I'd assume throughout Grand Blanc, we already coexist with a wide range of wildlife. Birds chirp from morning to night, frogs, geese pass through honking loudly, leaving droppings in their path. These are accepted parts of living in a beautiful nature-rich area. According to the National Institute of Deafness, geese can reach up to 90 decibels, bullfrogs 85, songbirds, robins are typically 50 to 60. Compare that to an 85 to 100-pound decibels of the barking dog, where hens cluck on average 60 to 70 decibels. And yet these animals are allowed. Despite the noise, the mess, and the lack of supervision, I truly believe that I am far more likely to be disturbed by a barking dog, roaming cat, than anyone would be by 3 well-cared-for hens in a secure coop. This isn't about creating a nuisance, it's about building a more sustainable life for my family, providing fresh eggs, creating natural fertilizer for our garden, reducing ticks and mosquitoes, which are a concern in our area, and teaching my children responsibility and where their food comes from. The coop would be a small enclosed structure, 12 feet, located more than 200 feet from the nearest home. It would be a clean, secure, and thoughtfully managed. With our current ordinance as it stands, Grand Blanc Township adopted this ordinance in 1987, prohibiting backyard hens. Why it should be reconsidered is sustainability and food security, educational value, environmental benefits, as chickens reduce kitchen waste, create nitrogen-rich fertilizer for gardens, and regional consistency. Nearby communities like Burton, Fenton, Davison, Holly, Linden, Flushing, Clarkston, and Ann Arbor already allow backyard hens under regulated conditions. My suggested guidelines are just a limit of 4 to 6 hens per household, no roosters, a minimum coop distance of a...
Sorry.
It's written down if you'd like to read it.
Yeah, I was just going through it. It looks nice.
Yes. That
You
is-
just wrap it up.
It's almost done, but yes. Minimum coop distances suggested 10, 30 feet, even 100 feet from nearby homes, dwellings, or property lines. Coops must meet cleanliness and containment standards, permitting an inspections as needed. Addressing the concerns, noise, hens are quieter than dogs and many wildlife species. I'm specifically speaking on my backyard as well. It's very loud. Predators, secure designs, and food storage prevent pests. Aesthetics, a coop can be designed to blend into your yard like a small shed or a garden structure. Allowing responsible backyard chicken keeping aligns with modern sustainability goals, supports families, and reflects the values of many in our community. I respectfully urge you to reconsider updating the ordinance so residents like myself can contribute to a greener, more connected township without causing disruption to our neighbors. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Comments?
I'll make one comment, and very great presentation, so that I give you kudos for that. I just so you know, someone else made a presentation about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Sarah, I believe, and I'm not sure if you were at that meeting or not, but they made a presentation to the township board and to the planning commission, and nothing was changed at that point. So while I appreciate the homework and everything that you're doing, I would ask that this also goes in front of the township board. The township board directs us and me as the township representative to change and amend our ordinances. So I would also urge you to go to them. Supervisor Bennett, I can direct this to him. I'll give him my copy of this here. But I would also urge you to go in front of the township board to make the same presentation.
And I will, I
Okay.
plan to go Tuesday, I believe,
Okay.
at 6.
Yep.
But yes, thank you.
Excellent. Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Could I
Thank you,
say
guys.
one thing? So one, wonderful facts that you put together here in a nice, concise. The one that I would suggest that you might want to look at, the coop distances. It's one thing to be 30 feet from a dwelling unless it's getting 30 feet closer to the other dwelling. We were talking about it earlier in a situation where a neighbor wants things as far away from his house as possible, but that's getting it 50 feet away from the other house. It's 200 feet away from theirs, but it's 50 feet from theirs. So some kind of something in there, not saying,
By which
not,
household?
yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it's one thing to be away from a house a certain distance, as long as it's not shoving it up against real close to where now all of a sudden it's their opportunity to deal with it and things of that nature.
I
But
can make that clear, because I think it's meant to be not necessarily my house, but away from any kind of neighbors, like completely far away from them.
Well, in my specific case that I was talking about was they literally have something that's 300 feet away from their house, but it's 50 feet away from the other house.
I guess I'm.
Where now all of a sudden you're like, yeah, that's great, it's way far away from yours, but now I have to deal with it all. And there's a reason why you want to shove it toward me, keep it toward you, type of thing. So I'm just looking out for the other neighbors, especially when it's something like this. So, yeah.
Definitely. It's not meant to be like a nuisance.
Right, that's exactly right.
Keep it towards me,
Yeah.
I want them.
Right.
So that's that.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
Okay, I think that covers public comment since I don't see anybody else. On to item 3 is approval of the minutes for last month.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did review those, sent in no corrections, and would approve them as written.
Support? Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, so we have the approval of tonight's agenda. Mr. Smith, any changes or modifications?
None.
I move for approval of the agenda?
Support?
Support.
We have approval and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 5, correspondence. Mr. Smith?
None.
Really?
It's not really correspondence. It goes along with our new business item that you have in front of you. It's a kind of an add-on, the diagrams in front of you, so it's not really correspondence. It's
Okay. Old business, I see none. None. On to new business. A, zoning case 674, text amendment discussion, motor vehicle parking. Mr. Smith?
I'm going to defer more to Mr. Amat today, but just know that we have been mulling over this the better part of 3 to 4 weeks to get this clear and concise. This is something that was given to me and brought to my attention by my code enforcement officers, something that they're dealing with on a semi-regular basis with motor vehicles being parked in the rear yard and clearly defining where they can and cannot be. So that's why we have everything in front of you today, trying to make it more clear and concise. If you look at the book as it stands today, it's very wordy, so we're trying to break it out and make it as easy as possible so that way any of the residents can, there's no room for interpretation, it's very black and white, and it's very clear, so, Andy?
I'd like to add on to that. We just decided to take this month and maybe work on maybe structuring it differently. So that's kind of the biggest change from last meeting is we pulled out that 1 and turned it into a 1A, B, and C, where we're kind of calling out appropriate locations first. Then in 2, we move on to the the compact dust-free stone base or gravel surface option. 3, we jump into that option 2 as well, when there's an unpaved road. That doesn't really change from the current ordinance. 4 is also very similar to the current ordinance as well. 5 is where we call out the grass area being prohibited. And then 6, we kind of reinforce the fact that you can do some very routine maintenance on a location that's compliant with that subsection 1. To try to show this a little bit more clearly, we prepared these diagrams. So the first 3 speak to what's currently permitted in the zoning ordinance. I put a little question mark in that 3rd diagram. Jeremy said that, he's generally viewed that as okay from his interpretation of the ordinance, but that's kind of interpretation based and something we can solidify with more clear language, what kind of situation can take place there. So then if you flip to the following, the 4th and 5th graphics, this is kind of where it shows how the ordinance would change, the permitted areas in which people could park on a driveway that's paved or a compacted stone base or gravel surface. Obviously, this is your decision in the end where you are okay with these locations. So, I mean, we're happy to hear any discussion or any, issues you may have with this.
So Mr. Chairman, if I can start kind of where the problem lies in what my officer or code enforcement gentlemen are dealing with. The scenario that was proposed to me was that you have a shed with a concrete slab underneath that. The shed is removed, but the slab remains. Out in the middle of the yard or out away from, let's just say in this scenario, that pink graphic where there's a detached garage, it would be opposite the yard, where a normal shed would be off in the back corner where we typically see them. Is that acceptable? That's the scenario that we run into quite a bit, is the parking in the backyard and not in this driveway area where you see where that question mark was on that 3rd graphic. Again, that's generally accepted as driveway because it leads to the back garage. Whereas this pad out in the middle of the yard was just kind of left and never removed and nothing's being done with it, but because it's paved, could be technically addressed as surface to be parked on. And that's where we'd like to remove the interpretation and make it very clear and concise of where motor vehicles can and cannot be parked.
So would that, I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Mr.
would
Joyner.
that concrete pad then be acceptable under the new guidelines or not?
Under what we have here, I would recommend that we do not allow that concrete pad to be an acceptable place to park motor vehicles. If you want to put an accessory vehicle on said pad, not a problem, but.
Accessory structure?
No, accessory vehicles, so boats.
Boats,
Boats, motorhomes, things.
Recreational vehicles.
I'm sorry, recreational vehicles. Acceptable, but those can be parked in the grass, those can be parked side yard, rear yard with no issue. We've already addressed that and completely, changed that, not completely changed the ordinance, but we've gone through that one thoroughly in the last few months, so we don't need to address that, but this is just motor vehicles only. The intent, in my opinion, is we don't want to see backyards turn into junkyards.
Right. Anybody else have any comments or concerns right now? Mr. Hoffman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will say, I agree with the idea, especially with that detached. I mean, it's actually a path from the street to the drive onto what if they had that pad way in the back and they connected it all the way back to that pad? Would that be allowed? And to tell you, I would say no, because there's not a detached garage back there also, that it's leading to. It's not leading to something, it's just leading to a pad, but I just want to clarify that.
I agree with your statement, but how we word that in the ordinance is going to be a challenge.
It would just depend on where that pad is. If that pad's in a compliant location that meets these setbacks, set by this, as you see, there's that building envelope, that beigeier, lighter green color. If that pad is sitting somewhere in that area, you could link a driveway to that pad and park a car in that pad.
The thing that the detached garage has for me is that the path is leading to a garage. This is a path leading to a pad. Is that not the separator that says, no, that's not allowed?
I agree with you, yes.
What if they didn't have a garage? What if there was a house with no garage, but they had a pad in the back? And
They couldn't do that
went to
now.
it?
They can't do it now.
If they had a path, as you're suggesting, a driveway that leads back to it, they could park their primary vehicle there.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that they don't want to have that. And that's why I'm clarifying because right now they're saying if there's a pad back there, you're not supposed to be able to do it.
Yeah, as it stands today, it would not be allowed, but we're trying to clarify with this new amendment.
If you had a pad within the light green area,
Yep.
within the building envelope, and you had a pathway that led to there, you could park there under a current ordinance.
During for the drafted proposed ordinance or
As a
the
current ordinance.
Right now, okay.
And how would that differ from what we're looking at here?
Yes, but it doesn't again, the ordinance as it stands
Right.
today is not clear, and that's why we're here today.
Exactly.
But that scenario, we don't, very rarely have I ever seen that, but it could happen. I mean, we can what if this thing to death, but I guess we're trying to get to the intent and what.
I agree with you. I guess my question is, I'm in agreeance with, I'm fully in agreeance with Mr. Hoffman as well. I like to run through different scenarios to see to test fit
Sure.
the ordinance and see how it goes. How many instances do you think that, based on code enforcement, come across situations like this? Is this a weekly occurrence? Is this every, I'm just kind of wondering about the frequency of things like this within the township.
At least once a week.
Okay, then, to me, that necessitates a change in the ordinance, or an adjustment, so I think that's perfect, thank you.
Real quick, what if, it sounds like both of you, Mr. Hoffman and Mr. Andre, want perhaps you would be okay with the language saying in 1C, in a non-required rear yard, only when leading to a detached garage.
There it is.
That's
Detached accessory structure?
Yeah.
Well, okay, hold on. Yeah,
Carport?
well, okay, now, if because you can't say garage, because what if it's a pole barn?
I was
What if
just
it's
gonna say pole barn.
we have to say accessory,
Detached accessory building.
which can be a shed. That's my point, is the definition of an accessory structure, while we know the intent, again, I don't want to muddy the waters any further. I want to make this very black and white. And
I think you
while I
could say-
agree with what the language where you're going with it, but my question is where, How do you draw that line there?
Could we make it to where we just said, period, no cars in the backyard? And just, I mean, if you're worried about cars being parked in the backyard, we can park in the front yard, we can park in the driveway, and we can park in the side yard.
But what if you have a driveway that encroaches into that rear yard just a touch, like it does in the example? The first example.
Page
Both
3,
examples
right.
on page 3.
Right, the gray goes back to the pink area.
Technically that-
And that's paved, now what? That's technically the backyard, now what? Soon as you cross that back imaginary line, now you're in backyard,
But a garage, a shed, and a pole barn are three different things.
correct?
So we could exclude
You could-
sheds and pole barns and just say garage.
You could just say shed, and I don't have any heartburn over a pole barn or a garage, I think you could say over 200 square feet, because sheds are considered under 200 square feet and under.
I mean, I have that scenario in my house. I have a slab in the backyard
Right.
with nothing on it.
Yeah, sure. But that's, if we're gonna drill this deep into it, I want this, I don't wanna come back to you in 6 months and go, hey, guess what, guys, we're gonna try this again.
You're
And we can, and we've done that before in certain things, when we've test fit it for, 6 months or whatever, and then we figure out it's broken. It's not that we can't change these things, it's just, let's not do these 2 and 3 times if we can help it, I guess is my point.
My point was more in the idea is if somebody has a pad, because you're looking to stop the people that have pads in areas out there, and we say you can't do that, and then we give them an example of where you can, is if something's leading to it, that's their pleasure. That's all you're gonna do, is you're gonna fix it to the point where now you're gonna have a big old path back there to, I'm gonna do what you don't want me to do anyway. So I do think it's important to say that if you're okay with a path going to a structure that is gonna be known or used to parking vehicles in, like a pole barn or a garage, then we're okay with it. We're okay with that path going there and you parking along that area. I just think you're just trying to avoid having a car out in the open out here.
Sure, right, but are we agreeing that we can just say blanket accessory structure, or do you want to put a size limit on this? That's my point is, yes, while a shed under 200 square foot technically could house a car, 99 times out of 100 is used for garden equipment,
Right.
not for storage of cars.
Right.
What are your code enforcement officials saying as far as size? Do they have a preference? Have you discussed it with them?
We never got drilled that deep into it. They brought me the problem of, hey, this is a problem, how do we address it? They're parking in the rear yard on these pads, what do we do? And I said, we're gonna have to take it and get the interpretation and get it ironed out. So it's not necessarily the size that is the problem, it's location, so.
And I might have brought up something totally wrong here, to be honest with you, because right on the diagram, it says to a detached garage. You already say that this path is going to a detached garage. So maybe you don't have to worry about that.
But again, I don't, in the court of law, if this were to go to, you're gonna, the intent is to go to something that can house the vehicles, garage and/or
Right.
pole barn.
They won't be parked there.
Right.
I mean, they won't be parked there, but you can drive back there so you don't tear up your yard. You've got a gravel path or a paved path to said building, but those buildings are over 200 square feet typically. So do we want to say it's okay to have that said driveway to building as long as it's over 200 square feet? If it's not, if you don't have a building that size in your backyard, you cannot be parking in the rear yard, period, the end.
You need to cut it at the
You would cut it at
termination of your house.
at the rear, that imaginary rear line of your house. You could still park in the side yard, but nothing, period, the end in the rear yard. That would eliminate a lot of this issue, in my opinion.
Would you think 200 is too small?
That's actually,
That's pushing a shed.
you'd be surprised how many sheds I issue at 200 square feet all day. I mean, I probably did 10 this week at under 200 square feet.
Right. I'm saying we maybe up to 400 square feet, so that we take them right out. Well, then they can't.
400 square feet's a garage, that's a typical two-car
Right,
garage.
so then it's
shipping container
approved,
size, yeah.
anything under that's not allowed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
What if it's a one-car garage?
one-car garage at 10, you could technically
Yeah.
put a detached 10 by 20, you could put a car in it,
Yeah, so I think 200 works,
technically.
because that's building code as well.
Right.
So it's gonna be built.
'Cause it's a
gonna be
site
built
permit.
Properly.
It's a site permit
Yeah.
at 200 square feet and under with me. Over 200 square feet, it goes right to the building department for a separate, different permit.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's why it was just an easy number for me to, for everybody knows that that's, sheds are considered this, larger accessory structures are considered this.
Are you proposing then language to say accessory structure in excess of 200 square feet? Does that capture it all?
I think that would eliminate the issue at hand.
Okay.
Yes.
Would we have
That
to,
rear,
For that-
non-required rear yard point only. Otherwise, we could say in the lead up in 1, we could say motor vehicles are permitted to be parked in the following locations on an asphalt or concrete driveway surface when directly leading to an accessory structure of 200 square foot or greater.
That takes
So
care
it's
of it.
in every circumstance.
I
But there, I mean, then you're losing some allowance in the side yard flexibility, because right now you can just park off to the side of a garage in the side yard just fine by the ordinance right now.
Up to the rear yard, and if you, typically if you get out of most subdivisions, I know we have a lot of them, but most, if you get out of that, then you can, say you have a house that's, 100 to 200 feet off the road, you've got plenty of driveway to park in.
sure.
So, again, giving leeway to people who will be using those driveways for the purposes that we want them to, as opposed to parking them and having a concrete driveway to a concrete pad where they could just leave those cars parked in the backyard until perpetuity. Out in the open.
Is this something you need, if we make changes to it today, or you have time to, we have to bring it back here, I'm guessing, before we approve it, or can we approve it with
Can I have a
text
public
amendments
hearing?
today?
No, today is not a public hearing.
Okay.
But we can modify the changes, and then when we set the public hearing for the next meeting,
Sure.
we have a couple more changes. If there's still other issues, you can make changes still there, and then recommend the changes to the township board for final approval.
Okay.
So are you just worried about the required rear yard or driveways in all circumstances leading to a garage? I think because there's a difference whether we put the 200 square foot or greater clause in right at the top during the 1, or whether we just add it to the 1C. Do you get what I'm saying?
1C.
Just 1C only?
It's-
Okay.
Yes.
For the backyards.
It's a little bit
Yes.
more, gives a little bit more flexibility for people in other
I'm fine with
parking
that.
matters. Okay.
Mr. Joyner?
Should we say may not greater than or equal to 200 square feet, greater than?
Equal to or greater than 200 square feet.
Well, the 200 square feet is a shed, right?
Yes, 200 and less.
Right, so if that's the line, then it's got to be greater than 200, right?
Yeah, so right now, I think the text would say for that 1C, non-required rear yard only when directly leading to an accessory structure of 200 square feet or greater.
Yes. I like that.
Then that would.
Well,
include the shed.
it would exclude 200 on the dot. We need to say, just so it excludes it basically needs to say 201 and
Or just greater than.
greater than 200.
than
Yeah,
200.
there you go, there you go, yep.
Anybody else? Mr. Andre?
Oh, no, I'm good. Thank
You're
you.
good?
Thank you.
That was a clarification we needed, so I appreciate that. We will get that changed, and then we will have,
They'll have to make a motion, right, to set the public hearing?
yes, so we will need today, if we can, if everybody's in agreement, to set the public hearing for this text amendment change at the July, well, that's later on. Well, I got an issue, that's why it's at the end. I would like to say at the July meeting and just leave it at that.
Okay,
Can I be an annoyance?
sure.
Chairman.
Mr. Hoffman?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
What would stop somebody from having a 400 square foot building on the back of their property? And they take, because you can do crushed concrete, and do it over their whole flipping lawn.
We have a provision in the ordinance says that no more than 25% can be, the rear yard can be covered.
Thank you. Because I was wondering if, not only how much you can do to a drive back there, but then do you want to put anything like, okay, if you're on a half acre, you can only have one car behind, but, so you have a, okay, good.
That's
Thank you.
already built
Thank
in,
you.
yes.
Well, do we want to, that's a good question though, and two, do we want to also add the stone base or gravel surface can only be in a non-required or non-required rear yard or non-required side yard only when leading to accessory building of 200 square foot or greater for there.
Do we need to
too.
put it both?
That's a tough one.
I think you would need to put it in both if you truly want to see that goal. Otherwise, you can have the meandering, gravel. Granted, Jeremy would need to approve it to make sure it's compacted. And
People aren't coming to me for that. They're doing that on a weekend.
in the ordinance
Yes,
now.
no, I know, I understand.
So-
I'm just making fun.
I know people are going to do it.
They
and
do it
ask for
anyways.
forgiveness.
Well, exactly.
But do we want to make that for a garage as well, or pull, a large, or do we want to just strike two altogether? If you don't want people doing it.
Mr. Johnson?
So, I did a little Googling when I saw this. I have a well in a neighborhood, and we have no plans on having city water. 1 quart of oil can contaminate 1 acre of land and up to 250,000 gallons of drinking water. So I don't want my neighbor's diesel truck parked in the backyard on a non-permeable surface, or on a permeable surface. So there has to be something in here that collects anything that's coming off those vehicles. Obviously, if they're parked in the backyard, they're not in operation all the time. So it's just an opportunity for it to leak. And I don't want my drinking water contaminated.
Sure.
So that's something
So you're in favor of both places? That, what we're proposing, putting it in 1C and 2?
I would not, I wouldn't do permeable surface. Or if you're going to do crushed stone,
No.
it needs to have a catch basin and be,
How do you do that on somebody that's on a dirt road and has a dirt driveway now? Goes right to a ditch.
And we're still permitting it on the dirt roads. I don't think that would, so that's something that's been in the ordinance, that if you have a dirt road, you can have a gravel or
Gravel
stone-based driveway.
Right. But that's my point is that while I appreciate what you're saying,
yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna be able to regulate that. Cause we don't regulate, I mean, you can put in a gravel driveway.
Well, I'm not saying the gravel driveway is necessarily a bad thing, but wherever they're storing the vehicle, the pad.
But, I mean, if it leaks in your driveway, it can just as easy get into aquifer as it is in the backyard,
Gotcha.
is my point. So I just, while I appreciate your comment, I don't know how do you regulate that? I guess is my question
I guess
is.
is the concern that just the permission of two can just allow a lot of people to take advantage of this and run with it.
Well, and we want to remove that ability. But you can't, if you have a rear yard, if you have a garage in your.
Is there a lot size limit you could put on it? I mean, because Williamsburg Farms, we're all on
Lot
3rd
size
acre
on two.
lots.
On two, you could do that. You could say on a lot of a certain size or greater.
But I mean, we allow, as long as you don't exceed 25% of your rear yard, you can put, and you don't exceed.
You can't exclude residents because they have a smaller lot.
That's my point, is you can't,
That's a toughie.
you can't do that, because that'll get us in court real quick. We can't exclude them from using their rear yard in any kind of fashion either. So I mean, we're not gonna be able to regulate it all. And if you see that kind of behavior,
Right.
you know it's
I
legal.
don't, I mean, my neighbors
No, I
park
know.
cars in their backyards,
But,
what
but
I'm trying to
that's my
protect
point
the
is,
guy who does.
code enforcement is always there. If there's blighted cars and there's issues, we'll go after it. That's not a problem at all.
One would hope that the majority of these issues, pole barns, detached garages in rear yards, don't have vehicles outside. I mean.
A lot of them
Most
don't.
people have those vehicles in their pole barns.
And that's what they build those structures for.
About it, but
Exactly.
You're talking a small percentage of the whole.
We are, but I just want to make sure it's addressed that way that is okay and the meandering to a pad is not. That's all
Right.
I'm really trying to make sure we get cleared up.
Gotcha.
And I think we've got that.
Can I make a motion for public comment on our July meeting?
I'll second.
For a public hearing, set a public hearing for July.
Yep.
Is that in quotes?
Is that with the southern accent or without the southern accent? Just checking. Okay.
Have a motion.
I would be more specific, but I was told not to.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Hoffman, second by Mr. Johnson to put the public comment or public hearing for motor vehicle parking, zoning case 674, on the next July meeting.
74Q.
Q. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. It looks like that does it for new business, so Mr. Smith, committee reports.
Committee reports. We have, let's see, we'll give you some updates of what we've been looking at lately. The Rite Aid at Hill and Belsey is now a Dollar Tree. The Rite Aid at Dort and Hill will be called Merchants Liquor Store. They already have a facility in Fenton. They're looking to expand, and they're taking over that. I've already done the admin approval on that. I'm just waiting on them to. I think I've seen them working in there already, but that's that.
More Halloween Express?
Not at that one.
There are no dollars at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
fully aware.
Yeah.
False advertising, so feel free to sue if
It
you'd
was a
like.
big disappointment.
It was.
Which one was the dollar store? Which,
Hill and Belsey.
Belsey.
On Belsey.
oh,
At the
okay.
roundabout.
That was a Rite Aid.
What about Hill and Fenton Road?
Nothing, and nothing at Saginaw McCandless yet.
Okay.
Had some inquiries, but nobody's made anything permanent. Some residential, a lot of inquiries on residential, finishing off a few subdivisions. Nothing has really come to being yet, but a lot of questions, finishing off some subdivisions, so that's nice. Inquiry about doing a brand-new subdivision, but haven't seen anything yet. A lot of questions lately, but nothing, no site plan sitting on my desk at this point, so.
Thank you. Ms. Hugo, anything from the board?
Nothing to report.
Nothing from zoning.
BZA, yeah, we haven't had any.
We will have one next month.
Nice.
Well, this month.
Must be time to elect officers again?
That we will do. We actually have a case.
Oh, really?
Yes, we have a pool variance setback variance.
Oh.
All right. And it takes us to other
Horses
business.
and pitchforks on that one.
Yeah. Hold on to your seats, it's gonna be a wild one. Okay, so
Looks
July 3rd is the regularly scheduled meeting. I know we talked about it last month, moving it to the 10th or 17th because of 4th of July week. I have a scheduling conflict and will not be here on the 10th as well. I'm asking to move it to the 17th, if possible.
I will be out of town on the 17th.
Yeah, I'm going the 10th and.
Go on the 10th as well, okay. I need at least a quorum, so that way we can do this public hearing and make it official.
I can make the 17th,
Yep,
3, 4,
okay.
5.
Yeah, 17th works for me.
Cool, thank you. And then while we're at it, I know this is farther out, but August as well. This one is due to voting. They were asked to, oh, no, actually, no, that's not, that's another scheduling conflict with me, I'm sorry. Move it just 1 week to the 14th.
So we need a motion? If I could get one on both together?
That's fine. Or we can do them individually and discuss if we need to, or if August is too far out, I just know I've got the conflict now, and if we can move it, fine. If not, we can wait till July. Either way, it doesn't matter, like we did.
I'd like to make a motion to move July's meeting to the 17th and the August meeting to the 14th.
Support. Jinx.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Hoffman, support by Ms. Hugo. All in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Last but not least is item 10, adjournment.
I've got one more thing. You got, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, mine,
You said one more thing. I was gonna adjourn.
all right, okay. So, the information for the fall conference is in Kalamazoo this year. Mr. Bush has already, inquired about attending that as well. I have 2 to 3 more open spaces if anybody else would like to attend. October 21st through the 24th. Yeah, sorry. It's usually the
Is that what are the dates on, or excuse me, the days? Is that Monday,
Tuesday through Friday.
Tuesday through Friday?
Yep, the township, because it's more than an hour away, the township will pay for Tuesday night, so we can all go Tuesday night, and then we'll put us up in the hotel. And then, it's done Friday early morning.
I'll express an interest that I'll go if it doesn't take up a spot if somebody else wants to go, because I'd like to attend one of the conferences.
Anybody else? Yep.
I do need to check the dates, so please, so if anybody else is more definitive than I am, then please take that spot.
Anything else?
I got nothing.
All right, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Support?
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjournment at 7:43.
Thank you.